Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Research Roadshow. Today is the last day of November in the year 2022, and I'm sorry for the problems earlier between the internet difficulties that we had. There was also some domestic issues, including a couple of trips to the Cleveland Death Star. Um, this is only going to be a short broadcast, about 15 minutes, but I wanted to get at the idea, emphasize the idea that we talked about in our first 12 episodes of the Eugene Yu trial, and that is that there is a European contingent behind the people behind Connect and before them LJ Connection. We focused in the first few episodes about the connections to China, and now I want to focus a little bit more on the European components, especially those in Amsterdam. Now, here on my left, there is a picture of my hometown, Turin, Italy. I was born in Cleveland, but I spent 32 years living in Turin in the center, in the lower center portion of the screen, near something called the Olympic Park. But the area that I want to concentrate on right now is up in the upper left. There's a green section called it's a big park called La Mandria. Now, La Mandria was a part of the Royal Savoy hunting grounds up until around the 1944, when the last king was deposed, and that area, the former hunting ground, became public property, or property of the Italian state. However, certain buildings and certain grounds and the horse stables in that area of the Mangia Park remain the property of the Duke. And the Duke has set up a number of rules for people entering the park, for citizens entering the park to observe while they are visiting there with their loved ones or with their friends. And this is part of the thing that I want to focus on, and I'll describe shortly how it connects to Connect. The every kid grows up learning that there are rules to be observed, and as the kid matures, he learns that the set of rules that he has to follow, or she, is more and more complex. There are layers upon layers of rules, and there are different groups of people that you belong to, and each person in each group has a slightly different set of layers to build upon when they construct the rule set that they're operating within in the larger society. The easiest example is when you're 7 years old and you go over to your friend's house, you learn that the rules in your friend's house, your friend's parents, have a slightly different set of rules to be observed. Maybe because the mother or father has an illness and they can't have certain plants come into the house. So there are all kinds of rules to be observed just when you go over by your friend's house. Now, when you go into a park that's mostly public land, but has 12 or 15 different areas where that it's still private, and you have to observe some of these rules within the larger rules of going out in the outer society. You have to be very careful. You can be arrested, and shortly I'll come to my point. You can be arrested, for example, for photographing certain parts of the Duke's former estate. Now, there's all kinds of reasons why that could be. Maybe he has a jacuzzi in the backyard, and he's in the jacuzzi with his friends, and he just doesn't want to be photographed. That's a strong possibility. I know that I, when I was living in California. I didn't want people photographing me in my backyard. But there are other reasons for which the former nobility do not want to be photographed, who don't want photographs taken in this larger park, because it was a former hunting ground. And usually after the hunt is over, the nobility tended to celebrate the hunt in certain ways. And they wouldn't necessarily be proud of all the ways that they celebrate. Let's leave it at that. Why is this important? Because Mary from Arizona today sent me a video that told me that we are being increasingly Europeanized from the set of rules that are incumbent upon each of us, the rules that we have to observe when we go out and have access to quote-unquote public land. I'm going to pause here for 20 seconds while I switch to the other computer.
days, and that ruling has made it illegal again to film in national parks and on federal property without obtaining applications and permits. And we're going to get into that right now. And it's been one that's been concerning me for a while here. I've been operating under the radar, thinking that as an independent journalist, that I'm a low impact media creator, content creator, and that I wasn't actually affected. But it looks like the way they have written these laws again, that yes, all content creators, regardless of the platform, we are all in violation. All content creators, doesn't matter what platform you're using, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok, if you're uploading media to the public and it's on an advertised supported platform, it is considered illegal to record in national parks. And yeah, we're going to get more into this here. But first of all, let's go ahead and get started with the water report for today. All right, so we're back out here again at my favorite Gratitude Park, right next to my neighborhood, and we're going to go ahead and get into this water report. So it looks like right now we're at 1,043.37 feet at Lake Mead. And like I said, we have been continually going down an inch to an inch and a half to 2 inches a day. For the remainder of the month of November, it's just going to continue to be like this. And I had projected that by the beginning of October that we would probably be right around 1,042 to looking at the flow charts here, you can see for the past 14 readings here, we have been averaging 9,000 feet in and a little over, probably close to 11,000 cubic feet of water going out. So as you can see here, guys, this is the reason for the loss. Getting over here. All right, guys, so taking a look at the changes for today, you can see the last 14 readings here, everything in the red. All the way at the bottom there, you know, you've got everything from a half an inch to a full inch to 1.2 inches going across the board. We've had some days that were better than others where we're only giving up 0.3 inches, but on average, we're losing about an inch to an inch and a half a day, at least for the month of November. Will this continue on into December? I don't know. Like I said, we had the report coming in from Bureau of Reclamation that we were going to see another 20-foot down drop by July of next year. And at some point, you can see it ain't going to be all at once. It's just going to be more of this progressive loss of water all throughout the oncoming months until we hit that threshold. Now, guys, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Because at the beginning of November, we started off the month at 1,046 feet, and here we are tracking down to hit 1,042. So this is happening all over again.
Ooh, that sugar sweet, you got what I need, sipping on the bar.
So a little while ago back, fellow YouTubers, Kara and Nate, who have a channel and they've got millions of subscribers, were fined by National Park Services $1,000 for creating commercial. Like I said, we have been
Are you still in this meeting?
continually going down an inch to an inch and a half to 2 inches a day for the remainder of the month of November, it's just going to continue to be like this. And I had projected that by the beginning of October that we would probably be right around 1,042 to 1,041 feet, and it looks like we're headed that way. All right. Looking at the flow charts here, you can see for the past 14 readings here, we have been averaging 9,000 feet in and a little over, probably close to 11,000 cubic feet of water going out. So as you can see here, guys, this is the reason for the loss. Getting over here. All right, guys, so taking a look at the changes for today, you can see the last 14 readings here, everything in the red. All the way at the bottom there, you know, you've got everything from a half an inch to a full inch to 1.2 inches going across the board. We've had some days that were better than others where we're only giving up 0.3 inches, but on average, we're losing about an inch to an inch and a half a day, at least for the month of November. Will this continue on into December? I don't know. Like I said, we had the report coming in from Bureau of Reclamation that we were going to see another 20-foot down drop by July of next year. And at some point, you can see it ain't going to be all at once. It's just going to be more of this progressive loss of water all throughout the oncoming months until we hit that threshold. Now, guys, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Because at the beginning of November, we started off the month at 1,046 feet. And here we are tracking down to hit 1,042. So this is happening all over again. So a little while ago back, fellow YouTubers, Kara and Nate, who have a channel and they've got millions and millions of subscribers, were fined by National Park Services $1,000 for creating commercial content on their YouTube channel. And it had concerned them using drone footage, which is technically still illegal to fly drones around national parks and federal property unless you have permissions. I don't even know how to obtain those things. I'd love to be able to fly drones, but I haven't been able to figure out how to legally do that or how to get permission, so I've stayed away from it. But anyways, Kara and Nate were fined and forced to pay this fee for making content, which they deemed that the drone footage wasn't theirs, and they had just been using the drone footage that they had acquired and edited into their videos to put onto YouTube. Now, all of the laws pertaining to what you could or couldn't do or how you could film, all of these laws were pre-YouTube. Okay, so these laws that were enacted came out like 5 years before YouTube or 7 years before, you know, the Apple phone came out, the iPhone. And all of these laws predominantly pertain to like production companies, you know, filmmakers, and like, you know, National Geographic, when they wanted to come out and actually make a movie or a film and so forth, they needed to acquire permits. And, you know, people were like, hey, yeah, you know, I'm cool with that, because who wants to come out to a park and be inconvenienced by having a whole film set, you know, set up to where you have to walk around them or you can't go into a certain area because they're filming, you know? So because of the inconvenience to the public, it was deemed all right for, you know, these production companies to have to pay a fee to the taxpayers for utilizing the resources at national parks. But I never thought that it would actually affect the vlogger like myself that just would consider low impact content creators. You know, we have just a small little camera like a GoPro or an iPhone, and we just basically boots on ground. We are just actually showing you what is going on at the park and bring you along with us as we're making vlogs. And for the longest time, it really didn't affect the small guys like us, as the NPS were predominantly looking at production companies, you know, crew, people that had cameramen and gaffers, microphones, lighting, booms, stuff like that, things that I don't carry. So basically, guys, the laws, the way it was written, was that if you are a commercial filmmaker and you wanted to make any kind of footage, and if it was for profit, you were going to make money off of it, you were required to go in and file for an application fee and pay a fee for a permit. Okay, and that was all fine and dandy. So the National Park Services knew that the law was rather dicey, and they didn't really go after, you know, small time people that were out there just filming. And I really don't understand how it would be possible for you to police this type of a ruling anyways. I mean, what are park rangers going to do? If they see a guy walking around with a camera, talking to a camera or a phone, are they automatically going to run up to you and ask you, are you filming? Do you have a permit? I mean, how would they actually enforce the millions of people that run through national parks? How would they do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. So anyways, the NPS knew if this was taken to court that they would probably get a bad ruling against this and it would probably be dismissed. So what they would normally do is they would just settle by you telling them that you would take your video down and not do it again. And they would just leave it at that. The fine would be thrown away and you would be given a warning. Now, in 2018, an independent filmmaker named Gordon Price made a video called Crawford Road. He was just by himself out in Virginia. I think it's called the York Battleground District in Virginia, and he was making a video documentary on missing people and strange occurrences that were happening in public parks. Now, he released this footage to a private audience, right, a screening, and I think it was like 300 people came to see it. Well, somewhere along the line, that video was leaked to the National Park Services, and he gets a knocking on the door, and officers issue him a $1,000 fine, stating that if he didn't pay it, he could be punished by up to 6 months in federal prison. Gordon Price, he resisted that. He went ahead and sued the National Park Services in court and sued the Attorney General as well as the Department of Interior, and he actually won, okay? 2 of the judges ruled in favor of National Park Services. 1 judge says it was unconstitutional and it was, against free speech to have individuals like myself, independent journalists, individuals with one small camera filming, just because they were making a profit on it, that it was considered unconstitutional to demand that this individual would have to go and file for application fees and pay all kinds of permits along the lines of a full-fledged production company like a film company. And so he won that case. So it says that the federal government can make rules concerning what kind of equipment you can bring, how big your crew can be, and the type of resources that can be used in the filmmaking of your production. But they can't tell you that if you're making any kind of money off of, speech, that is considered unconstitutional. Even the local news agencies, when they go out to the parks, they get some form of payment for the work that they do. So why not independent journalists? So once the verdict was passed down, the ruling came out. The rules pertaining to independent filming were pretty much simple, that anyone can film as long as they were able to keep all of their equipment in their backpack. All right, so that was saying also that as long as you had one tripod that you could put on the ground, that would be just fine, and they would not go after you, and everything was legitimate and kosher, and you could film in the national parks as an independent journalist. Now, at the same time where they passed those rules allowing you to film, they went ahead and started their appeal process. So they're winking at you with one eye, giving you a thumbs up, but at the same time, they're filing the appeal. So they didn't really mean that. They didn't really mean that they wanted to give you permission because they filed an appeal. Now, just recently, within the past 60 days, that appeal was won, okay? Their appeal was heard, and they have since reversed the ruling that allowed us to actually film at the national parks. Now, guys, this does not just pertain to national parks. This pertains to any federal property, okay? So if you are at the Lincoln Memorial, the National Mall, if you were in DC and you happen to see a riot or a protest or something like that, and you wanted to film this protest and you uploaded that media to the internet, if that media is uploaded to a platform that has ad support to it and there's money to be made, that is considered to be commercial filmmaking, and it requires permits. Since they've appealed the law that gave people permission to film in parks on a private individual level, since that has been repealed, we're back to the old law that says that you have to fill out an application and pay a fee in order to film in public parks. And if you are cited for not having that application filled out or that, they could fine you $1,000 or be mandated to serve 6 months in a federal prison. Now, guys, that's not exaggeration, and that's not, sensationalism here. Those were the exact words passed down by a circuit court judge. And guys, look, I'm not proposed to not paying a fee to actually do recording when I'm at a park. I mean, I already pay a fee when I go in. We all pay a fee to international parks, and it's like $20 per car, or you could pay like the yearly pass, which is like $50, because people tell me, Joey, man, if you enjoy going to the national park, it costs money to maintain the park. People are saying that the national parks, they're underfunded, and that they're leaking for money, and they need to make money somehow to keep the parks clean, to keep them manicured, keep the trash cans emptied, and if you enjoy using the porta potties, somebody has to go in there and remove all that waste. So that's the reason for these fees. And my question is, if it's really about fees, I have no problem paying them, okay? Now, the thing is, with these fees, they have to be reasonable, and to understand at current right now, the fees that they're asking us to pay, the application process isn't as simple as going into the visitor center and saying, hey, I'd like to make do some filming today, here, sign out this paperwork, here's my pay the $20, wear a lanyard with a little teeny permit on it saying that I can film for today. It's not as simple as that. The current rules are you have to fill out an application process that stems, you need to be 14 days in advance. You have to fill out the whole itinerary as to what crew you're going to have, how big of a crew you have, what type of equipment you're going to bring, how long you're going to be out there, what are the dates that you're going to film, what is the nature, what is the material going to be covering, what it's all about. And guys, come on, independent, we don't have that kind of stuff. I mean, as I come up with a report, I run out and I make a report. I upload a video and I give it out to you guys. We're not an actual full-blown production team that has all that information, okay? And even so, it normally costs around $300 to submit that application form, and it can be rejected. If they look at it and they don't like the message that you're trying to make while you're using the parks as a background, they can reject that. And the $300 application fee that you paid is lost. Now, that's just the application fee. The actual fee could stem up to $150 a day that you go out there and shoot. Well, guys, that would be ridiculous. I mean, independent media creators like myself would not be able to afford to go out here and make, videos on YouTube, because that money that they're asking right there is along the line of a full-blown production team or a movie set to come out and rent an area for, rent an area here and say they're gonna make a movie over here and they're gonna be in this area for a week, and they can afford to absorb the cost of an application fee and permits. Now, I'm not like saying that I wouldn't pay a fee, but it has to be reasonable. It has to be on an individual basis, low impact. I don't have a set, I'm not going to be interfering with the public. I don't burden the resources. I don't scare the animals. I'm not bothering anybody. Normally, as you can see here, like I'm out by myself when I record. So if they want me to pay a fee, I'm willing to do that, but it has to be something reasonable for an independent journalist, to absorb. The YouTube content creator, RV Miles, basically reached out to the, he reached out to the Washington National Mall Memorial Parks Division for permit management. My God, can you say that 3 times? Yeah. He contacted the Washington National Mall Memorial Parks Division for permits, and he asked them, since the reversal, what now? What can we expect as content creators? What do we need to do to continue filming out there? And their reply was that right now they're in a situation where they're on holding pattern and they're awaiting guidance from their attorneys and lawyers as to how to move forward with this from this point. But at current, that as long as you can keep equipment in your backpack and you have one pod, a tripod, that they're going to allow you to film for the moment. But the wheels are turning, guys. And I can see that this thing could possibly be changed instantly here in a heartbeat. So, folks, if you're a YouTube content creator, you know, for YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, be ready that at any moment.